All right, we are officially live in the Daniel Fast, A Bridge to Healthy Living Facebook group. All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, so we can go ahead and start. Hey everyone, welcome to another series of Healthy Habits. We have a really good episode for you guys today. It's Run Girl Run. And we have two ladies here, two beautiful ladies who are going to tell you about running. We have Ellen Jones and we have Cassandra Mickens, and they're going to give us the 411 on running, on how to level up on our running game, or even just to start if you're someone who hasn't run at all. We're going to go through it all. And so I'm so excited to have these two wonderful ladies on the show today. So welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're so grateful that y'all are taking time out to do this. I want to introduce our two guests here. So Cassandra Mickens is a former journalist turned corporate communications professional who lives and runs in Birmingham, Alabama. For her 30th birthday present to herself, she started running, and she has since completed 3 marathons, 3 team relays, which I was a part of.
Yes.
And countless half marathons, 10Ks and 5Ks. Her favorite race is San Francisco's Bay to Breakers, and her ultimate running goal is to complete all 6 world marathon majors. So she's got 2 down and 4 to go. Ellen Jaffe Jones is a best-selling vegan cookbook, health and fitness author. In fact, I have one of her books. This is one of my favorite books. Whenever somebody says it's too expensive to eat vegan and healthy and plant-based, I always recommend Ellen's book. So y'all, this is something to definitely get. She is a sought-after speaker at Veg Fest, Food Fest, health fairs, book festivals, and many other venues. One fun fact about Ellen, which is on her website, she held a plank at the Tampa Veg Fest for 10 minutes. So that is amazing. And then Ellen, I'm sorry, I have lost track of how many races you've completed and won, because you are racing literally like every weekend. So can you just share that?
Just my little addiction. So it started in about 2011 after Eat Vegan came out, and I'd been doing some races, and somebody came up to me as I was wearing my Eat Vegan on $4 a day racing shirt, which I had specially made just to be a running banner kind of thing. And somebody goes like, yeah, right, you can't run on a vegan diet. And I'm going like, watch me. So it just became like this obsession to just try and enter as many races as I could. And, you know, at my age now, it's kind of just about showing up. Not totally, because there are some fast women in my age group, but it just became this mission to do that. So I'm at 235 5K or longer races for my age group that I have placed in, not just entered, but placed in. So that usually means the top 3 in the age group, which they're 5-year increments. If you're familiar with racing, generally speaking, it works that way. So sometimes I've placed in 10Ks, and I even placed in a half marathon once.
Nice.
I've done 2 full marathons and 13 half marathons, and then the rest of these are just mainly 5Ks.
Yeah.
But I also got a gold medal in the U.S. National Senior Games in sprinting, because I really am much more of a sprinter. I can smoke it in not the 100 and the 200, but getting into those mid-range distances, the 800 and the 1500, because nobody shows up for those.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind saying, what is the age group that you run in?
Oh, I was wondering when you'd ask. So 65 to 69, I'm going to be 69 in November. So when you're in the oldest part of the age group, you don't place as much, which, you know, sometimes disappointing. But runners are the only group of people who say, I can't wait till I get till my birthday, till I get older, because, you know, next age group I'll be in 70 to 74, and I'll really smoke that one.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Great. That's great. All right. So I thought we've got like a list of barriers that we've come up with. And I thought this is just kind of an informal thing, and we'll go through as many or you know, and others if they're not on the list. So one of the barriers that often comes up is I'm too old. I'm too old to start running. Any comments on that one?
Well, I would just jump in, if you don't mind, and say you're never too old to start. You know, walking is a great way to get into it. My fourth book is Vegan Fitness for Mortals, because at the time, the only fitness books out there were written by these young, bulky bodybuilding types, and those are great. But, you know, I was just thinking we got to really reach out to folks who just want to get off the couch and maybe ramp up their running program a bit. So, and what I found in my racing over the years, the people who do the best at races, generally speaking, I mean, this is kind of one of my generalizations, but often they're the people who just started, because there's less wear and tear on their body. You know, I've got this high school trampoline injury that just won't quit. And, you know, I put biofreeze and things on it because, you know, if I really want to numb myself out, but generally I do like to be aware of my pain if I have it, just because it's the body's way of feeding back to you what you need to be taken care of. And I know I've got a great list of topics that we're going to cover, and we can get into, you know, how to kind of squelch those little aches and pains. But you're never too old, never too old. And runners, by the way, I've read a lot of the Galloway books, and he talks about, there is research that shows that runners generally, I don't like to make broad assumptions, but generally they look younger than the rest of the population as a whole.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad you brought up Galloway, because he has a program, I believe. I don't have any of his books, but I've read some articles about him. And I think this is good advice for people who want to start running, regardless of age, is do sort of a walk run program. So start by walking, and then kind of, you know, do a little bit of a light jog, and then walk and a light jog, and then just kind of build up from there. And I think too, and Galloway, I guess, has some books and some articles that for people who might be interested in something like that.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he was an Olympian, and I think I've read most of his books. In my book on fitness, I kind of took it from where he started, and actually have different levels of training programs based on evaluating whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced runner. Because I've also been a cross country and track coach for a local high school, and you know, what I would see is like these kids would just go all out and end up with shin splints and injuries. And my whole thing is finish without injury. I want to get to be 100 and still be doing this. So
yeah, awesome.
All right, Sersie, you want to take the next one?
All right. So another barrier we could jump right into, and Cassandra, maybe you could elaborate on this, or even Ellen, but this might even be cultural, is a lot of, or maybe not, is hair politics, like in terms of getting your hair sweaty or getting it wet in the rain. And I know for me, I'm guilty of this. I mean, I'll give you guys a little fast example. Gigi and I met up for the first time in Atlanta, and they had forecast rain all week. And so I was like, okay, Gigi, we're going to get out at 6 a.m. We're going to do this. And I said, but the forecast says rain. And Gigi's like, and I'm like, you're going to be just running in the rain? Like, for me, that was a concept that it never occurred to me that you could run in the rain. Like, I just thought, okay, all things shut down. It's over. It's raining. That's it. And Gigi was like, oh no, rain's not going to stop us. And I just felt this sense of, all right, I gotta figure out what am I gonna do with my hair. I could wear a cap. She's like, do you have a cap or something? And I'm trying to figure this thing out. But the point is, the sweat, the rain. I feel like a lot of times, especially even, you know, Black women, especially, there's this obsession with not getting the hair, and that could be a hindrance. And I don't know if it's just Black women. Ellen, you can jump in there with that. But is it across the board, and how do we deal with that part?
Well, as you can see, my hair is braided right
Yeah.
now. So it is a very easy hairstyle with the running schedule I have.
Yeah.
I was in the same boat as you before I started running. I had my hair permed, so I would never really engage in any activity because I didn't want to sweat my perm out. You know,
right.
The creamy crack.
Yeah.
But then I went natural.
Yes.
Yeah, I went natural in 2012 or 2013, because I decided that I did not want to let my hair dictate my activity anymore. So I make it work, because with running in the rain, it's inevitable. And it's also a way to prepare yourself for race day. If you have a race and it's raining, and that's the first time, you're running in the rain. So it's also kind of, a training mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I switch between braids and other manageable styles that, are compatible for, whatever training cycle I'm in. If I'm ratcheting up the distance, like I am now, I'm in braids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're working the hair around your exercise instead of working the exercise
around your hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why you always see this. Like, I don't, it's just throw it up and be done with it. I don't blow up my hair out or anything, or I used to blow dry it straight a lot when I was younger. But now it's just throw it up in a ponytail. I put like a leave-in conditioner thing in there and then throw it up. But yeah, you don't see my hair change very often. So yeah. Ellen, so you keep your
hair look pretty cute, Ellen. Your hair there looks pretty cute.
Well, this is the longest it's been in a year. This is my COVID cut. But I live in Florida, and I actually grew up and worked and lived in St. Louis for a lot of years before I moved down here. And people who have lived in both places will understand when I say I would take a Florida summer any day of the year over St. Louis, where there's like hardly no wind, bad air quality. Here, you always have a breeze, but both still have comparable humidity.
Yeah, the humidity.
So I just feel it's, I decide what my hair looks like based on how I feel. I've learned in my old age that that's the most important thing. And it just feels, even this is long for me. If you Google me, you'll see all kinds of images and colors of hair, especially going back 20 years. And some of those, my hair was down to here, and it is just thicker than thick. And so when it was long and I was running, I would put it up. I couldn't get it up in a bun like that, but definitely, I had a whole car full of elastics. And the cool thing in Florida is there are a lot of outdoor showers. So when I work with training clubs, running clubs here, we all shower up at the beaches where, you just bring your own shampoo and in your clothes, of course, and because they're outdoors, they're not inside. So you just find ways of making it work. And I just really encourage you to, you'll just, the big phrase of listen to your body, whether it's, the aches and pains or what feels good. The main thing is getting out the door. My boyfriend is also a runner. And, lately we've been having these talks about, well, honey, you got to put your clothes out in the morning or the night before, so that in the morning you have no excuses to not get out the door, and just little hacks like that'll work.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about that, because sometimes we can fabricate excuses, right? Like, let's say you intend to run the next morning. What you just said in terms of putting your clothes out is kind of part of that visualization of you actually running that morning. What are some excuses that maybe you've said to yourself, or that you've heard, or that that people can come up with for not being physically active, like as far as not getting up and doing that run the next morning? I think one that I've heard is like, oh, it's raining out, and we talked about that, but what are some other ones?
It's too dark, it's too cold.
Yeah. It's too hot.
It's too hot.
In Alabama, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I posted recently, I had just come in from a rain run, and I don't even remember what the post was about, just soaking wet. And I mentioned how it was just a slosh fest. And several people jumped in, and maybe this is an age factor. They said, I love to run in the rain. It cools you off. It's just this, if it's not too hard and pelty, it's just like this little tingly experience. And there's this one park, it's like running in a rainforest here. And, you know, if you disconnect from the electronics, you know, the sounds that you can hear and the sights as a result that you see, it's just, it's surreal and a lot of fun. You really connect back to nature. You get grounded.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, and for those watching on the live, feel free to post a question if you have one. I know we've got a few people on here right now watching, including Marie, who we profiled. She started running at 70 years old, so she's kind of a testimony for this topic. So feel free to post a comment or question if you have one. Do you want to go to the next barrier, Sersie? Or
yeah, sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I love about the running piece outside is that it's free. You know, it's free. It is the sunshine. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. But some of the barriers that some people talk about is, what about if you're dealing with trying to lose weight and you find that it's kind of difficult, or you feel like maybe I'm too heavy, or maybe my joints, you know, talk a little bit about that barrier for a lot of people who want to run, but kind of feel like maybe physically I'm not in shape enough to run. So it's almost like this catch-22.
Well, I can say, oh, go ahead,
Oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, here in Birmingham, you know, we have the good fortune of having just a ton of different running groups and track clubs and all things like that. And every club, I think, here in town has different groups for different paces. So there's a walkers where it's just the walkers. There's a walk run group all the way up to the super elite speedy people. And so finding kind of your tribe, you know, who are on the same level as you, I think is very helpful. So you don't feel so alone. And in that, you know, you have that accountability, and that also helps you to maintain a routine because, you know, you have that group there and that y'all are, you know, improving together, you know, striving together. So I think that's very helpful in terms of having a local group that you can, you know, get into who have the same goals and is on the same fitness level as you are.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yes, there are, where I live here, let's see, I've been on the board of the Bradenton Runners Club, the Lakewood Ranch Runners Club. There's this Minnesota Track Club that has, and many of these groups sponsor races. So they have training runs that you can, you know, just show up at different, not in different times of the day. So if you work, it can be at night or Saturday and Sunday mornings. You know, my favorite one was running the beach. You don't actually run on the beach, but a sidewalk next to it. And then they all go out to eat afterwards, or in some cases, they start them at craft beer places. You know, I drank beer once after running, and like my stomach ballooned out to like 9 months pregnant. And I just can't understand the thing about beer and running, but it seems to be very much a thing. So whatever works for you, whatever motivates you. But there is some, and again, some of the things I've read about, you know, we are pack animals, and running with a pack is just an amazing experience. You often lose track of time, distance, and before you know it, you've run 13 miles and it's easy.
Yeah. And actually, Cassandra and I met, well, we were part of an organization in Jackson, Mississippi called Black Girls Run. And they're all around the country, and there's several different running groups. I mean, you could just go to Facebook and probably just do a search on running groups in the city that you're in and find a group to join. So I agree. I think running is such a great social activity. I mean, for me, it's such a social outlet. I've had some of the best experiences in my life just running with people. And it's not about, you know, we're not in it to win it, right, Cassandra?
That's right. We are not in it to win it.
We're
Ellen, she's got something to say about that. She's like, you guys are playing.
She's like, look at all this behind me.
I know you look at my bling in the back.
But it's so much fun. It is so much fun. And, you know, I think that, oh, and we do have a question here I wanted to ask the panelists here, but it's so much fun. I have so many fond memories and people that I would not have crossed paths with had I not, you know, just
Run
taken
into them, yeah.
yeah, run into them, yeah. So question is, I have a difficult time getting my breathing rhythm down. Do you have any helpful hints? So when she's running, just kind of getting that breath rhythm so she can kind of do a steady state run. Any suggestions on that?
So, and I should also say I was a Roadrunners Club of America certified coach before I let my certification expire during COVID, which kind of upset everybody's apple carts for a lot of different reasons. But, you know, there are different methods where, you know, you can count the number of seconds as you breathe in and then exhale. But, you know, I've personally found that that's just a little too technical. And again, I'm one of those who, maybe others are different, but I completely zone out when I run. And I love music. So I have far too many, you know, I've got everything Apple. These are their latest headsets.
And I just got a message. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Because it just said it was connecting to the headset. But you know, 2 sets of these when the battery's down. But I actually have the earbuds that loop over my ears because I get so sweaty that these other earbuds just slide out by the first mile. So the ones that hook on the back, and you can get them really cheap, and it doesn't have to be Apple, but I have, I don't know, 3,000 songs on my playlist. I just, you know, you can get apps that ramp up certain beats per minute if you want to speed up your music or slow it down. But, you know, over the years, I've just created different playlists. So I have one for a 5K, one for a 10K, one for half and full marathons. So I can, you know, plan out my whole run based on music if I want to do that. And, you know, that's just something that helps me get out the door, and especially if it's cold or windy, it protects your ears too.
Yeah.
Just to ask a little more on the breathing tip, when you're running, are you supposed to be, oh, she's in the headphones. Can you hear me now? Okay, there you go. So when you're running, are you supposed to be breathing through your nose, your mouth? What is the concept there that's most efficient for bringing oxygen to the body?
Yeah, I think most of us, if we are straining, it's going to be all through the mouth.
Right.
You can try the nose, but I found it just usually doesn't work. Anybody else?
No, I'm right in the same boat with you, Ellen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think if I'm going at a really slow pace, I can do the nose, but if I'm going hard, I can't just go through the nose. It's got to be all mouth. I can't get the air in there quick enough. It's like
Right.
There are these nose strips you can buy. I had a friend who did this, but I've never tried it, but it opens up your nasal passages more, but I don't know, it doesn't feel quite natural. So, but whatever works, you know, whatever works.
Yeah. All right, another question. How many days should you start with? So like if you're just starting a running routine, how many days a week is appropriate usually?
I think that's dependent, I guess, on the person. I guess for me, starting out, it was like 3 days a week. And then I, you know, kind of ratcheted it up. Right now, I run like 4 days a week. So I just think that's dependent on, you know, what you're capable of doing in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I think, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what about you? How many days would you recommend?
Well, I've been a runner and a vegan for the better part of 40 years. So it has changed quite a bit, depending whether I'm pregnant. And I put it on hold during that time. But, you know, I used to run every day. And the only injury I've ever had was during the barefoot phase. I thought I'd read all the books, talked to all the right people. There even were some vegan barefoot runners, but you know, your muscles get used to a certain thing over decades, and certain muscles atrophy. So you can't really just go out the door after being in a shoe for 20 or 30 years and expect that your body's not is going to cooperate. So I stress fractured my third metatarsal arch, but that's the only injury, you know, what I would consider to be serious.
You did barefoot running, like for real, like nothing on your feet, or was it like sandals?
Oh no, it was barefoot on the beach, because I thought, you know, the beach just feels so good. And, you know, I want to be, what was the movie? Chariots of Fire, where, you know, these guys were running on the beach, and, you know, I'm just like, pipe that song up a little bit louder, please. So yeah, and then I would go back to my shoe running on the streets, and that's what did me in. I was toggling back and forth too much and not being consistent. So, you know, learn from my mistakes. But yeah, it's, I think the run walk method is really good. I mean, Jeff Galloway claims to have patented that, or, you know, whatever. But I think, you know, our bodies just naturally do that. And in my book, I just focus on gradually increasing the ratio of running to walking so that you do finish without injury, and that you don't overdo it or burn out. And, you know, right now at my age, I'm running every other day generally, or sometimes I wait 2 days. It depends if I'm racing too, because I always want to take a day of rest before the race and then a day after. So it's just what your body is, such a good feedback mechanism. You know, I grew up in the Jane Fonda era where, you know, it was like, feel the burn, work through it, you know, tune out that noise. But, you know, nowadays we say, no, it is your body giving you feedback. So you're not wimping out if you cut the run short, or even if you don't finish the race. It's okay. You know, you're really only competing against yourself. And I think that's the thing, we as women especially, you know, we just want to do all this nonsense. And this has only been about, Jeff Galloway does have a book, Run Till You're 100, and that truly is my goal. And I really like that book, other than the nutrition advice, but yeah.
Yeah. Another question, what's the best running shoes? Like,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I hear that one a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I'll get my pen out. What's the best running shoes?
Yeah.
I have two that I run in. I run in the Nike Pegasus and the Mizuno Wave Riders. Those are my two go-to shoes.
Yeah.
And I alternate between those.
Okay. Yeah. Ellen, what about you?
So I was a Nimbus fan, Asics Nimbus fan for a lot of years, because they had a lot of cushion. And then Hoka's came out, and they had even more amazing cushion, and it was lightweight. And by the way, to do the background research in part for my fitness book, I worked at a shoe store, a running shoe store, Fit to Run, here in Florida. It's a really big, I think they're national now. Just so I could learn everything I didn't already know about shoes, even though I tried every one. But, you know, runners are the only people who take off their shoes, right? And this is the Nike Zoom Fly. The Zoom X, which guarantees supposedly that you will run 4% faster in a marathon. That's what I race in. And I'm not, should I tell you how much those shoes are?
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
All right. So save your pennies, get a night job, $250. And they only last.
Yogi shoes that he runs in.
The wear on this. I mean, they go fast. So, so how do we deal with, you know, everybody pronates or overpronates in different ways. So this is what has saved my life, my running life for 40 years. If I don't use these hard orthotics in my feet, my knees are not happy, especially my left knee. So this one, you can see it's been taped up. It's had a lot of love and wear and tear, even a little adjustment from the podiatrist, so I wouldn't have to spend another $400 on a new pair of orthotics. You can try over the counter. Atrix is the name of and they change company names. It may not still, I think Atrix is still in business, but those are soft inserts that you can use. And, you know, they're just not as supportive as the harder ones. And actually, I should say, these aren't really rigid hard. I mean, they do have some flexibility. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the toe part, but even this part gives a little bit so that, you know, you're not like landing on concrete.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm kind of a 2 to 3 times a week runner because I focus a lot on cycling, but I wear Brooks Cascadia. They're like trail shoes, and I've been wearing. I buy them like all the time, and they change the style, but pretty much the same shoe. I live in an area where there's a lot of gravelly hills and stuff, so I need the traction of a trail running shoe, but I run with it on the track as well. But I'm not as hardcore as you, Ellen and Cassandra, but that's the shoe I wear.
Right. And Sandra, do you have inserts as well for you? You have inserts?
Yeah, I do. I wear inserts as well. So it's
Yeah.
very helpful for me and my knees as well.
So
Yeah.
tell us, I want to just dive into that a little bit. With the inserts, do you have to go to an orthopedic person and then they assess your feet, or how does that play out?
Yeah, that's what I did. I'm so old at the first orthotics that I got, they were made out of cork. And so, you know, the materials now are much better than in those early days. But yeah, they actually, I guess they're doctors, orthopedic or orthotists. I mean, there's different levels of certifications and all that. But they have to write a prescription. It's actually considered a prescription for the orthotic. And then some places will make it right there, or you have to take it somewhere. You can even do mail order. I've actually looked into that at one point, but that, you know, I decided not to do that. Because it's nice. If there was this one place I was driving like 90 miles north into Tarpon Springs, Florida, just because I love this podiatrist that I was going to. And if things if it started to kind of like fall out, if my knee was hurting a little bit, you know, he would use this hair dryer to heat it up and change, you know, reshape and mold the orthotic. But now these, I don't know if it's the materials have just changed. I haven't had to do that in probably the last 7 or 8 years.
Okay, wonderful. So I think this is a good segue, because I think you guys are talking about the inserts, to talk about how to avoid injury, right? How to run in a way that will ensure that you lessen the risk of getting any type of injury, or your knees or whatever. So the inserts in the shoe is one way to protect your knees. What else can you say is a good way to kind of protect yourself and be ready to run to avoid injury?
For me, aside from, you know, a couple of rolled ankles, I've been without injury for the most part. And I credit that to strength training, which I do about twice a week. It's just, I feel like it has changed the game for me, because it helps, you know, correct any muscle imbalances. And it also helps you helps you become a better runner. You're more efficient with that strength training part of it. So for me, incorporating that in my routine, because at first I was just running. And then when I moved back home here, one of my friends was saying, hey, you really need to start strength training, because, you know, that can help, you know, prevent injury. She had her experience with a bunch of injuries. She started strength training. She saw that she was less prone to injury. So I think that has, you know, improved my running by far in helping me not get hurt.
Yeah.
Really good points. So on my YouTube channel, I have a separate running channel, and part of that shows the dynamic warm-ups and the more static stretches that I always do at the end of my run. And I learned this when I was the assistant coach at the high school, and the head coach did all these, and, you know, we would spend like 30 minutes warming up before we actually did. We would do like a light 20-minute jog first, maybe a mile, and then do the dynamic warm-ups. And then when my daughter, she's 5 foot tall, and she broke the high school track record for pole vaulting. And that got her a full ride scholarship to the University of Southern California on their track team, where she was NCAA and all that fun stuff, which was like just this whole thing that, And I had an uncle who broke the high school track record. So there's probably some genetic component, fast twitch, slow twitch muscles, and we're definitely a fast twitch family. But just knowing those things, helps you. Like I always start a race and I go out fast, and people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." And it's like at the National Senior Games, I ran into a coach who said, if that's where your speed happens, if you can do that, again, listen to your body. If that works for you, go for it. I mean, I've seen injuries happen at the finish line a lot, where people are so tired and they think they got to pile it on and really push forward. And, sometimes that can be, you think you can do it. And, it's always this brain game of trying to figure out, do I listen to that voice in my head that's saying to go all out, or should I hold a little bit back? So that's only a decision that you can make, whatever that looks like. But the dynamic warm-ups are things like walking lunges and twists and skipping with, wide arm circles, and then small arm circles, and then, over and under the fence, things where you're stretching, like you're picking blueberries, you take 3 steps and then scoop your arms up, just things like that sort of fire up the muscles you're going to be using for running. And then afterwards, and it doesn't matter if you stretch right then or you just do it at some point during the day, usually there's going to be awards and partying and all that. So you may not want to do it like as soon as you finish running, but some point during the day, they're just basic like yoga stretches and things like downward dogs, stretching out your ankles, just hip flexor twists, pigeon. That's my favorite. I love that one after a race. It's like, I've got my hips back, So all that I think is just really critical. Forgive me for going off on that rant, but that's just a really important thing, I think, for staying injury free.
Yeah, and Ellen, we'll include a link to your YouTube channel on the replay and in the notes when we post this on YouTube. But about how long is a warm up? Like, how long would you recommend someone warm up before running?
Ideally, like before a race, it's good to get all that done an hour or so before the race, so your body has some time to recover and rest. I mean, you don't want to go all out in the warm up and not have anything left for a race. But just generally speaking, a warm up should be, to include all these dynamic warm ups. It's about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
and then a cool down. What about a cool down? What's a proper cool down for y'all?
Well, just continuing to walk throughout the day. The worst thing you should do is like lie down on a couch.
Right.
So just keep those muscles going. We have an abundance of jacuzzis and hot tubs here, and I just love to plunk in one of those, or better still, the ocean, the runners clubs. That was like the kind of the ritual of just finishing a run and then jumping in the Gulf of Mexico, preferably when it's warm enough, but you can do it any time of the year here. And when it's cold, that's supposed to be good for you too. Although I worked in Des Moines, so I really don't care if I see anything below 60 degrees again.
So what about someone who they're starting out with running and maybe they have like an hour a couple times a week to run? How would you suggest that they break that up? Because I know you said 30-minute warm up. Would they make a 10-minute? Like, how would you break up that hour to use it? If you have an hour for a couple days a week and you're saying, hey, what can I do with this?
It doesn't have to be rocket science or complicated. And certainly that's what I did when I first started running up until the time I was a high school assistant coach. So, but it's basically, the classic runner stretches that you do afterwards, hands against the wall with your ankles stretching, and, the quad stretch. It can be just like 3 or 4 cool down stretches that work for you. Butterfly, where you're sitting on the ground with your knees apart. And then, the warm up, I'm amazed. I am blown away actually at races about how few people warm up. It drives me crazy. I'm glad, Cassandra, you are nodding in agreement, because it's such a prescription for injury. The president of our running club he was all, excited because he was doing marathons every single month. And, never warming up or cooling down. And I just knew this was a train wreck waiting to happen. And sure enough, the last time we had a conversation of any degree, he said he was just hoping to be able to walk enough to go with his wife on a trip to Europe. So, I mean, I like to think long-term here, and it's just, if you can get in a 10-minute warm up before you run, I think, that's fine.
Okay.
You don't have to go all out.
Gotcha. Awesome.
All right, so another question, should you run on a full or empty stomach? I guess it's just a question of like how you fuel yourself, but not over fuel yourself.
That's something that each individual has to experiment with to find out what works for them. For me, I'm an early morning runner, so I go out and run on an empty stomach. For the exception of when I have my long runs, I'll take some nutrition with me, like a goo or a Humagel or something like that. But for me, I rarely eat before a run. But of course, when it's a race, I will, have, a banana or a bagel for those long races. But for me, it's an empty stomach works best.
Okay, what about you, Ellen? What works for you?
When I was a young girl, I used to run on an empty stomach with a little bit of coffee. And, that worked in my 20s and 30s. And then as I started aging up, I felt better with like a half cup of cooked oatmeal, some blueberries, and before a race for sure. And, if I tried to do a half marathon without eating, I mean, about mile 5, I would hear and feel this revolution in my stomach. My glycogen stores were failing. And, I just felt like I needed to have something. So I have used goo and those kinds of things for the longer races, just to get me through it kind of thing. And then eat like a little piglet afterwards.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I know for me, if it's under 30 minutes, I can do an empty stomach, but I usually will either do like a smoothie before the run, or just a small bowl of oatmeal or something like that, or some Ezekiel toast with almond butter or avocado or something. Not a big breakfast, but just something to get me through it. So yeah, but you're right, Cassandra. I think each person has to just try what's going to work for them, see what their stomach can tolerate, and just experiment.
Yeah.
So another question, for running, because I know you said you're an early runner. What about the idea of safety and running in the dark? And because I know that can be intimidating in terms of, okay, I want to start earlier, but the sun hasn't even come out. How do you think to address that if you want to be an early runner, but there is the dark, maybe you're running alone, or how do you guys navigate that piece?
For me, that's where pack running comes in. I have, a friend or 2 or 3 that we'll get together if we're trying to run, we have a long run and we want to start at 4:30.
Yeah.
and it's still dark. But yeah, just having for me those accountability partners, because I do not want to run by myself in the dark. And even, I had one instance where I was running with a group and a truck came by and we were running down the street and the truck turned around and was like creeping alongside us. And we were like, what is going on? And it was just, a guy that just wanted to holler. But, for us at 4:30 in the morning, we're like,
yeah, it's
what in the
dangerous.
world?
Yeah.
So it's good that we were in a group, because, God forbid one of us would have been by ourselves. So for early morning runs, I tend to run, with a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. When I started out, I was a TV reporter and anchor. And so I had to get up early and do my thing. And in St. Louis, Monsanto had this big corporate office across from my apartment complex, and I would just run over there in the dark. I mean, it was beautiful. But I look back on that and I think, and they put up security gates long after I stopped doing that. But I look back and I think that probably wasn't such a good idea. But, you know, they have amazing lights. I just wanted to show you, this is my iPhone light. So, you know, you can get like a headband that has one of these lights on it, and they're amazing. I mean, nothing like that existed when I started. So, in fact, I wanted to say earlier, we were talking about weather and different things. You know, I was so motivated to run. I read, the first book of running by Jim Fixx. That was really the thing that got me motivated. And then, you know, he ends up dying of a heart attack while he was running, but he was also bragging in his book about how many hamburgers he chowed down. And so his heart condition had not been discovered. But back in those days, I was wearing Gore-Tex. And when they made Gore-Tex, it was like running in a suit of armor. It was very heavy and crunchy and noisy, and just not like the amazing running clothes that they have now. It's just really, really the improvements they've made. So with, you know, if you can run with at least one person, if you're going to run in a secluded area or at times of the day where it's dark, just again, in my older years, I have made the choice not to run too much in the dark, just because it's harder to see little irregularities in the concrete. And I have tripped over things, but I've also tripped over roots in the daylight too. So it's just a matter of focusing too. And as I say that, tomorrow night, I'm running a race at night. So, you know, at least the street lighting is a lot better now, I find, in places where, you know, years ago, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I'd also say, I know that that a lot of the running shops, you know, that sell the running shoes and whatnot, they also have recommendations on where to run. I find that finding a multi-purpose trail is usually a good place to run, because, you know, sometimes if you're running through neighborhoods, people might not have their dogs secured, and dogs might be coming out. And so there's also kind of that piece of it as well. But I like the find your tribe and run with them, because there is safety in numbers. I remember actually, Cassandra, one of the races we did where we were running at night and everybody had their headlamps on. And this one guy stopped and said, "Can you tell all your friends to turn off their headlights, because it's really bothering me?" I was like, I don't know these people, but the point was is that we were seen, you know, and the voters could see us. And so that's because there were so many of us out on the road running at the same time. So yeah.
Funny.
Wow.
Okay, so let me, I think we got time for one more here. And then let's see, we talked a little bit about injury. I've had people say to me, and honestly, I felt this too, because I had a couple running injuries myself. I got plantar fasciitis when I was training for my first half marathon. And then I got a stress fracture in my left ankle when I was training for my full marathon. And how do you put aside, like, how do you segment that you've got this injury and not take it to a place where, well, I'm just not built for running? Like, what's kind of the mental thing that you all have dealt with in terms of overcoming the injuries that you have had?
You have to give yourself grace when there is a setback in your running. For me, I had surgery 2 years ago to remove fibroids. So it was like a, abdominal myomectomy. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and it took me a while to get back to a place with my running where I felt I needed to be. And in the beginning, I was hard on myself. And I'm like, well, after now looking at it in hindsight, you were recovering from a major surgery. It takes time to heal. It takes time to recover. and you have to give yourself some grace and listen to your body and listen to your doctors and listen to your physical therapist, and just take that time to heal and to also engage in other activities that aren't running that can still, be helpful and, make you strong and make you fit. So for me, it's giving yourself grace, listening to your healthcare professionals, because I know we as runners sometimes have a very hard time listening to our doctors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I joke I have put more physical therapist kids through college than I care to admit. But they have totally saved my life. I've been so fortunate to have some good doctors who, are not, let's take that knee out. Although I hear that the new knees actually work better than the old knees and hips as well. But I'm not really willing to try that experiment. But just, places like that can be really helpful. And I keep coming back to listen to your body and don't tune out what, sometimes it is a brain game and you have to just kind of push through some challenges that you might have. But if you don't want it to become so serious, and any pain that's like in the bottom of your foot or even your knee, you got to listen to that and figure out what the cause is and get at that. And we haven't talked much about diet, but a plant-based vegan diet is very anti-inflammatory. And over the years, I say when people ask me how long I've been a runner and vegan, I say the better part of 40 years, because I actually had doctors when I was pregnant saying, you're going to cause brain damage to your unborn child if you don't drink whey protein. And it's like, wait, what? The fluids of another species, we got to be drinking that? I mean, so without going down that rabbit hole too much, it has been, I think, one of the reasons I don't get arthritis very much compared to other women my age, especially in the age group where I'm at now, that 5-year age group. I see a lot of women dropping out, whether they've been a runner for a shorter period of time or a longer period of time. But especially if they've been at it longer, they may have different issues that are interfering with them being able to continue to run. So just also run on soft surfaces anytime you can, natural surfaces. Think about, what did Mother Nature intend? What are we supposed to be doing out here? It can be challenging to run on grass because there can be hidden holes, so you have to watch out for that. But things like that we have here, crushed shell surfaces, a combination of sand and rocks, and just in the woods. If you can get to the parks, I prefer to run in places where we're not sharing the road with bikes, because we don't necessarily look out for each other. And there is one park where I have run where they have cyclists, and it can be a little treacherous during peak season here when we have a lot of people at our parks. But I think the park system here has expanded hugely over the last 10 years, and I guess it's that way. I'm hoping it's that way everywhere. So just check out your local parks for ideal places to be.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said about the source of the pain, because I'm a huge fan of the foam roller. I found that when I have a knee pain, the first thing I do is I get on the foam roller, and if it goes away, then I know that's what the source of it was. I had some kind of tightness, somewhere along the quad or IT band. But it's important to kind of troubleshoot why do you have that pain? So you can really get to the root cause of it. Okay, so do you want to just go around and do final
final comments? I mean, and what you could add in there is, since we've just kind of put a nice bow on it, for someone who is interested in running, who's running, what would you guys say as you close out with any final tips you have, but also what are some of the major benefits you would say to running that would be intriguing to someone listening, plus whatever last tips that you have?
One of the benefits is that it's a huge stress buster. And, you know, being, I guess, in the line of work that I'm in, it's an outlet for me to de-stress and also be creative. Because sometimes while I'm running, I'll be thinking about something and it'll pop up and it'll be like, oh, I'll stop and put it in my phone to think about later. So that's been beneficial for me, just for my overall health and just mental well-being. Running has been immensely helpful. But as far as any tips or comments I'll leave the audience with, it's definitely your race, your pace. I believe that was one of the Black Girls Run slogans when, you know, it first started when we were in Jackson, Gigi. But I think a lot of people are kind of hesitant to run sometimes because they're trying to compare themselves to, you know, an elite, super fast runner. And it's really not about that. It's kind of your own journey of, you know, self-improvement, and also just the relationships that are cultivated from running and the experiences that are cultivated from running that Gigi spoke to earlier is really, you know, what it's about. It's not, you know, necessarily about, it is about, you know, if you want to lose weight, you want to improve your health, but then there's all these other benefits from it that I didn't even realize would come when I first started running.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, thank you.
I think everybody's just made really great points, and I just would encourage you, as Nike slogan is out there, just do it. It's, the rewards are too numerous to mention, and Cassandra really hit on the stress relief, especially in these past times. I mean, anytime I've had issues with a relationship, or you know, I need some creative juices for a job project, I just go out for even a 20-minute run. And this is interesting. I just, you know, when COVID hit, my speaking tour came to an end like that. Things are starting to open up a little bit again in Florida with Veg Fest and stuff. But so I started doing real estate. And, you know, I would go out on the class breaks and just run around the parking lot, and people thought I was nuts. But it's just, it helps. It's like it reboots your brain. And the creative process is so amazing. You just have great ideas, and it's, you know, running on the beach is like this out of body experience. You become one with the birds. I mean, you know, your mind goes to really fun places like that. And I just encourage you to, it's we've mentioned, it's just so cheap. I mean, it's free, except when you start doing that.
Yeah.
But even still, I always say I never have any regrets about entering a race, because if you don't know my story, you can Google it, but Mom and Po's sisters had breast cancer. We were part of the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene studies. I'm the only adult female without it. And they all had heart disease and diabetes. So I always say a race fee is much cheaper than bypass surgery, or, you know, many of the other, and that's the main benefit, is how healthy not only you stay, but how healthy you feel. And so people, you know, when I tell them that I'm a runner, they go, ew, my knees. And, you know, I go, my knees are fine. And you just have to, don't listen to other people when they give you negativity too. Just stay positive and know that this is really the best, one of the best things you can do for your body and for the people in your lives. If you need to be healthy and available for them, you need to be healthy and strong, and stick with the program.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. We really appreciate you. And for those watching on the replay, feel free to post comments and questions as you watch this. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.